Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution. Welcome to this segment of growthtofreedom.com. I have a question for you. How big of an impact would be creating value, connecting with others, and building what's called a genius network be to you in your business? Now you might ask, well, what is a genius network? Well, today's guest expert is definitively qualified to talk about genius network. He went from a dead broke carpet cleaner to being one of the most connected people in the world. He's one of the most sought after marketers and business people, known for his ability to connect with almost anybody. People like Tony Robbins, Sir Richard Branson, Steve Forbes, John McKay, to name a few. And he leverages this concept called genius networking with being able to build what's called a genius network, a community of people who shoot for moonshots and multipliers. That's me, like right there in that little speck, like back there, right there. One of thousands of people that he's impacted, hundreds of thousands that he's impacted over the years. And with his events, as well as consulting, Joe has built thousands of businesses. He's generated hundreds of millions of dollars for his clients, and he's changed the lives of others. And more importantly, he has a big impact and has a big heart to have a big impact with things like Joe Volunteer, Artists for Addicts, Genius Recovery, and helping reduce suffering, not just for entrepreneurs, which he does and has done for decades and decades and decades, but also for the human spirit, the human condition, and transforming lives. He's a good friend. He's someone I've known. Well, how long have we known each other? 17, 18 years now?
Oh yeah, at least. Long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So it's amazing to have you here with us, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Now,
it.
I want to dive right into it because, there's so much wisdom, and we promised that this would be a short segment. We're celebrating 300 episodes, 30 years of business. The people have been important in my life on this journey, and identifying that we're just all one real breakthrough away. So why are you doing what you're doing, Joe, with the work that you do?
Well, because it's exciting, because it makes money, because it's hanging around really smart, intelligent people, bringing them together, connecting them. I do that. Fortunately, I figured out a way to charge for it. I would still do it for free, even if I didn't get paid for it. But I work intensely. My big goal is to fund changing the global conversation about how people view and treat addicts with compassion instead of judgment, and find the best forms of treatment that have efficacy. And so that's one of my big projects. And any problem in the world can be solved with the right genius network, which simply means, people that have capabilities and skills, bringing them together, collaborating with them, and then you can figure out how to grow a business, how to solve a problem, how to deal with a challenge, how to get in better physical shape. The focus for me is health, mental and physical health, because all the money in the world is useless if you're laid up in a hospital bed and you can't function mentally or physically. So health, and then wealth, not just making money, but not losing it. And then health, doing things that are easy, lucrative, and fun versus, what we call hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. And that requires smart people, smart decisions, designing a game that works, for you, not against you. I think the way a lot of people work doesn't work. I'm even taking next year as a sabbatical, so I'm not working at all, which, a lot of people think I'm the last person they would expect to do that, but I'm going to immerse myself in music and art and recovery work and health related stuff and give myself perspective. And so while I'm doing that, Genius Network is going to be run by its members. So we have a whole faculty that's going to run it. People that pay me to be members will actually run it, because I don't want it built around me. I want it built around the people in the groups. So to have a genius network, if you're the smartest person, you don't learn anything. You're not very coachable. So my whole thing is just curate people that are more capable and more intelligent and more, skilled in areas that I am not. But by bringing them together, it makes everyone better. And so everyone can tap into that genius network. So I think everyone in any area of their life, parenting, health, business, whatever your goals or objectives are, who has the skills and capabilities, and that's a genius network. And in order to have a genius network, you need to do genius networking, which is connecting with people of those at that level. And you need to be a genius networker, which basically means the way you get things done in your life is you focus on what's in it for them, and just be helpful and be useful and be generous with the right people in the right way, because you can be very helpful and useful to people that don't give a crap about you. So you got to be discerning, but it's about being a giver. I have a book called Life Gives to the Giver, and so and it takes from the taker. So those are my thoughts. So just putting a bunch of givers together, and amazing stuff happens.
And speaking of amazing stuff happening, you're going to want to come back to this segment. You get the full series of episodes at growthtofreedom.com/300. That's growthtofreedom.com/300. So, genius networking, genius network. You can have a half business, or you can have a elf business. Easy, lucrative, and fun versus hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. Being a giver, not a taker. I mean, there's so much wisdom that Joe just laid out for you in like 2 minutes, that you're going to want to come back to this. And, Joe, what is, like having worked together and us known each other for a long, long time, you inevitably get asked by people, almost like, I say this sarcastically, it's the wrong way to go and approach someone like you, where they go, hey, can you show me how and tell me how I can get connected to Richard Branson or Forbes or whatever? It's nonsense, all this bullshit that people do with you. And what do you see are some of the biggest mistakes right now in relationship, or your version, genius networking, that people do that like they could solve just real easily in your mind?
Yeah, really not doing homework on people. And what I mean by homework is genuinely like asking someone for something without creating value for them first, or just assuming because you're a hustler or because you've learned how to persuade, or that you're good at some certain things, that people somehow should give you time and attention, and that they should care about what you want, when in reality people care about what they want first. And you have to genuinely, it's like people don't buy from you because they understand what you do. People buy from you because they feel understood. And the more that you go into something without a agenda where, oh, I'm going to be tricky, I'm going to be sneaky. The world of marketing is filled with magicians, but a lot of these magicians are unethical. A lot of these people have these, they're egotistical, they're narcissists. So, it's just not showing up with true value creation. It's showing up, mistakes are showing up with an entitlement attitude. Showing up is expecting a pro to give you the time of day when you're not acting like a pro. You can't like go to a pro as an amateur, even if you are an amateur. I mean, look, I started out not knowing what the hell it is I was doing, but as I've built and grown my business, if I wanted something from somebody, I'd try to figure out what can I do to be helpful to them, and do it first, not talk about what I'm going to do, but demonstrate it, like demonstrate usefulness. People like, I want to get hired so I can build websites for someone, or I can do their marketing. What if you actually create a result in advance? What if you show up with a mocked up website? What if you show up having read their entire book before you're asking them to do an interview with them? How about if you become a client of theirs before you ask them to do something for you? Give them money, buy some of the stuff, and so the biggest mistakes are just people that are egotistical, that they watch some, expert and they try to act like they're that before they are that. And that's different than, because you don't have to work your ass off in order to be valuable. Part of it is just being a genuinely caring, helpful person, and figuring out what that person may need. I mean, I know a lot of billionaires. I'm not a billionaire, but I have a lot of friends that are billionaires, because there's ways that I'm useful to those people that isn't about making more money. It's helping them with their addictions. It's helping them with their connections, and things like that. So be a result leader, not a thought leader. Any idiot can come up with a thought. And most people steal their thoughts from other people. They're not even their own thoughts. They hear someone read a book, say something, and then they regurgitate it, and they somehow think that makes them an expert. And it may make them sound like an expert, but after a while you get found out. And so the world of personal development is filled with pontificators, the reporters of success, not people that are really successful. So part of real success is, it's an internal thing, as much as it is an external thing.
There's, again, so many layers of wisdom as you're watching, as you're listening right now. Just show up and create value in advance. Like, you've got a story, and you can go learn about it at ilovemarketing.com, go to Genius Network, events.com, geniusnetwork.com, 10xtalk.com. You got so many different examples of people who showed up in your world, like Jonathan Krunz that you shared a story about Jonathan, how he called up and he just, was at a place in his life at that time. And now he's a president of a big software company, SaaS company, right?
Yeah.
And Jonathan, he just wanted to add value. And he said, I'll pay you for like 3 minutes. I'll pay you X dollars for 3 minutes, like just to see if I can get some insight. Like that's showing up like without the entitlement attitude, right? And
oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like so he didn't have my consulting fee, which was $6,000 an hour, in minimum chunks of 2 hours minimum, right? And so he called the office. He's like, "Can I pay Joe $500 for 10 minutes?" And I was like, "Look, if the guy's enough, balls to like at least offer that, which most people don't, then I'll talk to him." And what did I do? I talked to him for an hour. Ended up, when I went out, this is like a decade ago.
Yeah.
He ended up, coming to work for me. But it's like, I went to dinner with him and stuff like that because, and he admittedly will say it saved him, probably $200,000 because he had this money saved up that he was going to invest. And, he literally, I shouldn't say 200,000 because actually, I think that's what he said. I think he said it was $200,000 because he was going to go borrow money and do all this stuff to do it. And it's funny because he ended up being a sponsor of my events many years later, and we've known each other over all the years. But that's if you don't have any money, what you got is you got time and energy. Because people are like, I don't have money to go. It's like, well, when I was broke, I had a lot of time, I had a lot of energy, and you have to tap into your resourcewulness. And so and that it's the same thing. Like all the stuff I do on addiction recovery, I don't make any money off of it. But it definitely, there's other ways to get paid in life other than money. There's you get rewarded with money, but people appreciate you, they utilize you, they refer you, and it enhances you. And I learned that from my buddy Dan Sullivan, who is amazing founder, strategic coach. And so it's an operating system, and everyone could operate that way. And of all things I've done, and by the way, congratulations on 300 episodes, which is fantastic.
Thank you, brother.
It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of time. And, and part of that, the lesson there is just stick with something, right? If you want something to grow, stay with it, be consistent. You don't just work out once and you're healthy, eat a healthy meal once and you're healthy. I mean, it's a consistency. So part of this is just don't be useful one time and think you're going to, it's consistency. And believe me, if I went through all the horror stories and all the crap of trying to build and grow a business, there's a lot, but there's a lot of lessons with it too. And so, and my whole thing is just keep giving. I even wrote a book called Life Gives to the Giver, and it's at joesfreebook.com, and it doesn't put people into an upsell funnel that requires them to buy other stuff in order to get the good stuff. It's a good book, right? And if people, come into my world, it's a way to do it. So anything that you're selling, put information in front of it. That's what my friend and client, Jason Fladlin, says. So we've been doing that when I was a Debro carpet cleaner. We did consumer guides. We put information in front of people, a podcast like you're doing here. You're putting information in front of people that's hopefully helpful to them, build rapport. And then by doing that, they will hopefully become a client and things like that. The key though, is you put useful information in front of somebody first, and don't do it in such a salesy, pitchy way, because then you scare people off. And frankly, I undersell most of the things I do. I give away so much stuff for free that people are like, well, damn, if he gives this away for free, how good will his stuff be if I pay for it? Because most people can't afford a $25,000 a year program. They're not making $1 million plus a year, which is the stuff I actually sell. So, there's lots of ways to be helpful in the world. And, I just love them. I do my best to encourage more people to just be a giver and do your best to avoid takers, because there's a lot of takers in the world.
Absolutely. And, another good example, you've often described how someone treats somebody at a restaurant really shows their character in the rest of their life. And be careful of how you treat people on the way up, because there's the same people on the way down. And Jonathan is a good example of your character. Like Jonathan was a kind of a newbie at the time, yet you treated him with utmost respect, and then it expanded. And then, now there's still amazing strategic byproducts out of that relationship for both of you. Right?
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. I remember at the time he's like he wanted to first borrow money to hire me for a full consultant, and I'm like, no, you don't need to do that right now. I'm not going to take your money. That's silly. And anyone that would, knowing your situation, is stupid, because build it up and do that. So even if you can get money from somebody, doesn't mean you should. it's only if in the value creation process that is the best thing. And when people know that you're looking out for their best interest and not taking advantage, they never forget that. And to this day, Jonathan, yeah, anything I need, call him, he'll refer, things like that. And I've got hundreds of people like, as a matter of fact, that was funny. I had a guy named Ken Ratowski over my house last night. We had my buddy Mark Tarbell, who won Iron Chef, was cooking us dinner. And then we had Chris Voss, who wrote the book Never Split the Difference, who's now on the Genius Network faculty. He's one of our trainers. Ken Ratowski has this group called Metal International. And we were all over here at my house last night having a whole conversation. He had just gotten done with this, this, I think it was 4 or 5 day men's ranch where he took a group of people, and just how impactful it is bringing people together and helping them and changing their lives and doing that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, just do gatherings, put people together, create value for people, that sort of stuff. And it just pans out. We're just telling the stories of all the people that have helped us in the beginning and growing and building, and everyone that has really achieved success. They didn't do it alone. They had someone that helped them, but it's really about relationships. It's not about just business strategy. Money is not in anything other than in relationships.
Relationship capital. You're the best in the world I know of at it. And, I'm proud to, know you, call you a friend, and, also someone who will challenge our thinking, challenge us to be better. That's what you do. You challenge people to be better versions of themselves. And you've talked about that for decades. And, it's amazing. So if someone's inspired, if they're ideally going, wow, this guy packs a punch in 10, 15 minutes, where can they reach you? Where can they connect with you? Where would you want them to get connected with you?
Yeah. Just go to joesfreebook.com, download the book for free. You don't have to pay for anything. If you want a physical copy, you can pay for shipping and handling, and we'll send you a physical copy, but you don't need to even buy anything. Just joesfreebook.com. And life gives to the giver. And then beyond that, a Google search of my name will find everything, my podcast, Genius Network, if anyone's struggling with recovery that needs help with addiction, go to geniusrecovery.org. That's our foundation. And it's all links to meetings, real and virtual meetings that people can find all over the world, and every type of addiction: drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, gaming, workaholism, codependency, eating, you name it. And there's an open letter of my views on addiction. There's videos with, all kinds of amazing people like, Gabor Mate, one of my, dear friends, who's one, stuff like that. So anyone that has a family member or yourself that is struggling with a behavior that you cannot stop, that is creating, just real pain and angst in your life, because, addiction is a solution. It's a solution to pain. It's not a great solution because it can kill you. But it's an attempt to soothe pain. And so you can't punish pain out of people. You can't punish pain out of yourself. And so my whole thing is reduce suffering. And so that's the addiction side. And a lot of entrepreneurs are addicts, because workaholism is the respectable addiction. And take care of yourself, take care of others, and, really just look at the production that you're doing. And drive is great as long as the drive is not driving you off a cliff. So it's, and be careful who you take advice from, because there's a lot of people that are, talking about how to be successful. And if you saw the backstage of their lives, you'd see a lot of pain. And I'm in a bizarre sort of situation because I know a lot of people, and I get to see that part of the world too. So it's given me a great perspective. I've done more to build and grow myself as a human with addiction recovery work than I have from, reading business books and stuff. So, but I like both. I like both, because business is amazing if you design an elf business and if you do something that you're really proud of. So yeah, and it's hard work. It's always going to be hard work, but the hardest work in the world is designing a game that doesn't allow you to enjoy it, win, and create value. So whatever you learn, however you do it, apply it in a way to where you can wake up and say, man, I'm doing my best. I'm doing something good in the world, and that's what I think creates the continual enthusiasm and forward progress of entrepreneurship.
So if you want to create a business that creates value, that helps others, that has a bigger impact, that shows people how to be able to go out and make a bigger contribution, using some of the concepts that Joe has shared with Genius Networking and a whole lot more, then go check out his book, joesfreebook.com, joesfreebook.com. If you know someone who's struggling with addiction, go to geniusrecovery.org. You just never know who it might be. Like it's suspected that 1 out of 3 people suffer from some form of addiction. It's a hidden, you've talked regularly about we're as sick as our secrets. Don't let that secret impact your family the wrong way. Joe's got amazing resources, amazing people connected to this that can help resolve and help you reduce suffering. Joe, I want to ask you one of your favorite questions. I think it's one of your favorite questions. What's a question I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh God, let me see. I mean, there's so many. I mean, the big thing is when people are trying to ask, how do you do this? How do you do that? The way I think of, there's a great question, what needs solved? So what books should you read? What should you listen to? One of my members, I was interviewing him and I asked him, what do you do when you buy more books at 10 times the speed than your ability to read them all? He's like, well, I just, ask myself what needs solved. And I read what, based on what needs solved in my life at that time, that's what gets my time and attention. So the number one thing to protect is your attention, your gratitude, your confidence, as an entrepreneur. And so when it comes to time, really focus it on what needs solved and how do you solve one problem that solves, 50 problems, it solves 10 problems. And sometimes that's sleep. I cannot tell you how many people are like, yeah, I need to build and grow my business. How's your sleep? It's terrible. Well, if you want to build and grow your business, fix your sleep. Don't eat crap food. Learn how to eat and drink water. Learn how to breathe. The book Breath by my buddy James Nestor is an amazing book and one of the best health books I've read in years. I've learned that I wasn't breathing right because I was breathing through my mouth because I have a deviated septum in my nose, and I just never learned how to, stuff that I never even realized, that no doctor, that no health person, I've been through numerous breathing sort of classes. I meditate. I've done so much crazy stuff. And I realized through reading this book that, I wasn't even breathing accurately. Most people aren't. And so things like that, what needs solved? And so how do you solve one problem that solves, many more? And sometimes that's getting out of a relationship. Sometimes that's deleting your social media apps from your phone. If you're overwhelmed and you don't have enough time, how much time are you wasting on shit that's really not moving the dial for you? And so, yeah, it's not, you didn't ask me. It's like, that's the stuff that comes to my mind right now. It's like
amazing. So, he's Joe Polish. I encourage you, go check out Joe's book, joesfreebook.com. Check out ilovemarketing.com. Check out geniusnetwork.com. Check out geniusnetworkevents.com. You've heard this before. It's on over 150 episodes talking about these things. I encourage you to go. Now you've got a chance to meet him directly, hear from him directly. Go to joesfreebook.com. If you know someone who's struggling or needs some solutions around recovery, go to geniusrecovery.org. That's geniusrecovery.org. Joe, thank you. I appreciate it. I know this is not normal for you, so I'm just incredibly grateful for you taking the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I wish all of your listeners and watchers and however they digest this the very best. And so have an awesome day, Dan.
You bet. Seize the day. Make it a great week. We'll see you on the next segment.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.